June of 1973, Western Louisiana. Training area Tiger Ridge at Fort Polk. Heat sitting on the pines. Night near full dark. I was Captain Mort, leading a rifle platoon on an evaluation lane. We moved off a logging road and set an LPOP. I counted 4 breaths and 4 more. The swamp smelled like wet iron and sour mud. Then 3 knocks rolled through the timber. 1, 2, 3. Far, then nearer. A shape stood by the slough. Tall, broad. No light, yet I saw its outline against the last sky glow. It did not flinch. It watched us like it knew the ground better than we did. Another 3 knocks came from our right. My men froze. I raised a hand and held them still. I named it in my head before I said a word. Fouke monster. Not a story, not a joke. It turned once, smooth and slow, then slipped between the trees. That is how the night began, and why we were there at all. Before we start the video, hit the subscribe button to support the channel. It only takes a second. Thank you. We had come from Fort Benning 3 months before. The drawdown after Vietnam left too many officers without fronts to fight, so they sent us south for readiness training. The order was to rebuild discipline and practice jungle movement in terrain close to what we had left behind overseas. Tiger Ridge fit that. Thick woods, flooded bottoms, narrow ridges, and endless mosquitoes. It could hide a company in plain sight. My platoon had 40 men, mix of veterans and new draftees waiting out their terms. The heat worked on everyone the same. Sweat and mud turned faces the same color. We lived in it, slept in ponchos, ate sea rations that had been packed years before. The smell of sour swamp mud never left our gear. I caught it on my hands even when I washed. That smell stayed close, like the air itself carried memory. Our mission was simple on paper. Conduct a 4-day defensive exercise along a simulated infiltration route. Track and stop an enemy unit moving north toward the training village. Rules were clear: blank rounds only, simulators for mines, safety observers at distance. Radios checked twice a day. It should have been routine. I built the plan by the book. Alpha squad on point, Bravo as support, Charlie on rear security, 2-man LPOPs ahead of each sector. We rotated watches every 2 hours, always counting in 4s. 4 hours on, 4 off, 4 checkpoints between rally points. The rhythm helped. It kept us sharp and predictable. At first, the talk among locals about strange animals near the line meant nothing. Louisiana backroads always had stories. Feral hogs, moonshiners, even wild men. The range officers laughed at it. I logged it anyway. Habit from overseas. When a pattern repeats, you mark it. One night patrol reported rocks thrown near their bivouac. Another found broken branches higher than a man could reach. It sounded like nonsense, but the range was too isolated for pranksters. We had no civilians authorized in that area. By early June, we were scheduled for the final evaluation. The operation would run 72 hours with no resupply. Each man carried 6 quarts of water, field rations, and his blank ammo. We moved with full kit, roughly 70 pounds per man. Radios were AN/PRC 77s, heavy but reliable. We stepped off before dawn, through mist and standing water. The terrain was worse than the maps showed. The sloughs cut deep and unpredictable. Cypress knees caught at boots. Compass bearings twisted under the canopy. We adjusted by sun when we could see it. Every 4 hours I took bearings, checked distance, and logged grid coordinates. The sound pattern came first then, faint but distinct, 3 dull knocks echoing from no clear direction. My RTO thought it was distant artillery. I thought it was logging noise. Still, I marked the time. That evening at our first patrol base, one of the men brought a set of tracks. Larger than human, heel deep, toes spread wide. No sign of claws like a bear. Weight pressed even through dry leaves. We joked about it, but no one could match it to any local animal. I sent 2 men to confirm with range control. They found no record of maintenance crews or training animals nearby. The report went in, and nothing came back. By day 2, unease crept in. Movement drills grew quieter than usual. The sound of 3 knocks began to repeat around dusk. The smell of wet iron mixed with the swamp air again. It made sense then, only as rust or decaying metal, but it seemed to follow us. Even when wind shifted, it stayed near. I noticed the younger soldiers started counting like me. Fours, 4 steps, 4 seconds between halts. They said it steadied them. Maybe it did. At mid-cycle briefing, higher command said we'd continue to Objective Ridge by nightfall. That was the area where reports of animal sign were strongest. Range maps called it Sector 9. Locals called it Devil's Back. Dense timber, poor drainage, no clear trails. I remember thinking the ground there swallowed noise. Even birds stopped calling after dusk. When we made camp that night, I checked perimeter stakes and marked the line with tripwire simulators. Standard defensive layout. Then I took one last walk outside the wire to confirm bearings. The air was still. The moon sat low behind clouds. Somewhere out there, I heard 3 knocks again. The same slow rhythm. 1, 2, 3. It carried far clear as rifle shots. I logged it at 2300 hours and went back inside the perimeter. I did not know that was only the start. The next morning we pushed deeper toward the ridge. The ground climbed slightly, but the trees grew thicker. The smell of rot and wet iron hung low, stronger than before. Even the breeze felt heavy. My map said we were 6 miles from the training village, but we were alone. No radio chatter, no other platoons in range. The swamp seemed to take in sound and give nothing back. I kept the count. 4 minutes between checks, 4 men in the lead team, 4 paces between each rifle. Routine made order. Without it, a unit drifts. At midday, Corporal Lang found more tracks near a dry creek bed. Each print was long and deep, spaced wider than a man's stride. Whatever made them was tall and heavy. The soil was pressed down flat, not dug like an animal running, more like something walked steady, unhurried. Lang was from Arkansas. He said the shape looked like the thing from Fouke. The name meant little to most of the men then, but I remembered hearing about it years back. Bigfoot talk, a local myth. I told him to record and move on. By afternoon, the humidity turned to rain. Sheets of it, radios crackled. We took shelter under ponchos, silent except for water hitting leaves. The rain carried the swamp smell closer, that sour metal mix, thick and sharp in the back of the throat. Private Down said it made him dizzy. I said to breathe slow and steady, 4 breaths at a time. It kept us level. At 1800 hours, we reached the lower slope of Tiger Ridge. Visibility dropped fast. Mist rose from the ground, and the forest light turned amber. The men were tired but alert. The knocks returned, this time louder. 3 in rhythm, 1 from ahead, 1 from our left, and 1 behind. I checked my compass. Bearings did not match. It felt like the sound came from everywhere. We set a patrol base on higher ground near an old logging trail. I ordered no fires, low light, and rotating watches. The LPOP went out 200 yards forward. I stayed up the first shift with the radio man. Every 20 minutes, I checked position and bearings. Nothing unusual until just past 2300 hours. Then a rustling started along the east flank. Not footsteps, more like something large brushing through brush without concern for noise. No calls, no flashlight. I gave the signal to hold. The sound circled wide, then faded. 10 minutes later, 3 knocks again. The same spacing. My hands were wet with sweat. The men whispered, wanting to know if it was another platoon testing us. It wasn't. The training schedule showed no one else in our sector that night. I logged it again. When morning came, the forest felt drained. No birds, no insects, no movement. Even the swamp frogs were silent. We found 1 tripwire pulled from its stake, not broken but lifted clean and set aside. That detail bothered me most. A man would have tripped it or avoided it entirely. Whatever did this knew how to touch it. I walked the perimeter myself. 10 meters beyond the line, under a cypress, I found a piece of our ration box torn open. The cardboard was soaked and torn in a spiral, like it had been twisted apart. The C ration pouches inside were gone. Only the plastic sleeves left. Not chewed, not cut, just gone. I made the decision to report by secure channel. Range control logged it as possible animal interference. They said black bears were known to roam north of our grid. I wanted to believe that. Still, black bears didn't move like that, and they didn't hit trees 3 times in a pattern. We moved out again that afternoon toward our next objective. I shifted formation to a tighter wedge, Men closer, intervals shorter. The count helped. 4 steps, pause. 4 steps, pause. Keeps discipline. I noticed some men matching my pace, counting under breath. Fear organizes you if you let it. We reached the edge of the ridge by dusk. Ahead, the forest opened slightly into a dry clearing, maybe 40 meters wide. I sent the point team to recon. No noise, no light. 5 minutes later, they signaled clear. We advanced, set a new base, and began to dig shallow fighting positions. The rain had stopped, but the ground still bled water. Mosquitoes swarmed so thick they looked like smoke. By nightfall, the smell returned. Stronger now. Wet iron and sour mud. It clung to our clothes. The LPOP reported movement again, low and fast through the brush. Not human. Too heavy. Then silence. I remember sitting by the radio, watching the men settle in. Everyone quiet. Even laughter had stopped. I kept scanning the tree line. The mist was rising again. Somewhere beyond it, I heard the first knock. Then another. Then a third. I knew then that something was watching us and it was close. That night the mist came down heavy. Visibility dropped to less than 20 feet. The moonlight turned weak under the trees. Every sound stretched longer than it should have. I took first watch with Lang at the LPOP. We lay low, rifles across our chests, eyes on the clearing. I could hear the swamp breathing, the soft pull of water under the roots. Then came the first knock. 1, 2, 3. Faint, but close enough to feel through the ground. Lang turned his head. I shook mine, told him to stay still. The sound didn't echo like gunfire. It was dull, solid, like a club hitting wet wood. I listened for voices or metal clinks, but there was nothing. No sign of movement. Only that smell again, thick and metallic, like rusted blood and mud. It crawled into the back of my nose and stayed there. A few minutes later, something moved along our flank. Heavy, slow steps, too spaced to be human. The tripwire line rattled, then went quiet. I tapped the radio, whispered to the RTO to stand by for contact. The noise faded toward the tree line, then stopped completely. For a long time, nothing. Only frogs starting up again far off, as if the forest had been waiting for a cue. At 0300 hours, I rotated watch. Lang went back to the line. I stayed another half hour writing notes. I kept counting under my breath. 4 seconds between every sound. 4 breaths to slow my pulse. It helped for a while. Then another knock came, sharper this time. It hit somewhere deep in the timber. 1 knock only. I waited. 10 seconds, then 2 more. Same rhythm. By dawn, I was certain it was no animal sound. It was communication. Someone or something marking distance. At first light, I sent Corporal Lang and Private Downs to sweep the area. They moved slow, rifles ready, following the edge of the clearing. 10 minutes later, Lang called in a fine. Tracks again, larger this time. Same wide spacing, deep impressions. But now there were 2 sets, one older, one fresh. Both leading downhill toward a slough about 300 meters east. We followed the tracks until the ground turned to water. The prints ended where the mud started. No slide marks, no return trail. It looked like the thing had walked straight into the swamp and disappeared. The surface of the water barely rippled. We found a few broken branches on the way back. Fresh breaks, sap still wet. One branch had hair tangled in it, dark and coarse. I wrapped it in a sample bag. Range control said to hold it for collection. That never happened. Back at camp, the men grew restless. They whispered about the knocks, about the smell. I kept them busy with drills. I ordered patrol rotation and radio checks every hour. Routine was the only way to keep discipline. Still, I could see the tension in their faces. When soldiers start to whisper, it spreads fast. At midday, we set a recon route toward the next ridge. The rain started again, soft at first. The sound of it hit our movement, which helped. We moved in file, 20 yards between men. The forest was silent except for the rain. Then a new sound came from our rear, faint but real. 3 knocks again, closer. Private Downs froze mid-step. I motioned him forward. We kept walking, faster now, but the knocks followed. Always 3, always even, like something pacing us. By the time we reached the ridge, everyone knew it wasn't echo. It was tracking us. We halted and formed a perimeter. I ordered Lang to plant a claymore simulator on the south approach. I didn't expect to use it, but it felt better to have it armed. The air thickened as the rain slowed. That smell drifted in again. Wet iron and rot, strong enough to taste. At dusk, the forest went dead quiet. Even the insects stopped. I sat with the RTO near the command post and checked the radio. Static only. I looked out across the clearing and saw something move between the trees. Not fast, not clear, but tall. Too tall, shoulders near the lower branches. Lang whispered that he saw it too. A dark form standing still, half hidden. Then without sound, it turned. We caught the motion of its arm brushing leaves aside. The movement was smooth, deliberate, not like an animal's twitch. I raised binoculars, but the mist blurred everything. When I lowered them, the figure was gone. A second later, 3 hard knocks came from inside the tree line. Closer than before, the sound rolled through our perimeter and faded like it was moving away. I called for no light, no noise, full alert till dawn. The men obeyed. Every few minutes I caught that smell again, drifting with the wind. Nobody slept. When daylight came, we swept the area. No tracks this time, no sign at all. Only the marks of heavy movement in the undergrowth, too random for a man, too heavy for a deer. I remember thinking this wasn't watching us anymore. It was testing how close it could come. By the third day, the men were running on nerves and coffee tablets. The mist stayed low, never lifting. Every uniform smelled like rot and iron. Even the rifles felt damp, as if the swamp had found a way into the metal. I counted by 4s as usual. 4 hours of movement, 4 hours of watch, 4 hours of silence between reports. The pattern helped keep order, but it felt like the woods were learning it too. That morning, we followed the prints down a game trail. The path curved toward the east, through knee-deep water and thick brush. Lang led point, steady and focused. After about a mile, we found claw marks on a pine trunk, not deep like a bear's, wide and flat, torn at shoulder height. The sap was still wet, shining yellow in the gloom. Nearby, strands of dark hair clung to the bark. Downs said it looked like something had reached up, not climbed. I said nothing. We collected what we could and marked the location. The men started talking less, only hand signals now. I could feel the silence pressing down like a weight. Around midday, the radio came alive for the first time in hours. Static, then a half-clear voice from another platoon. They reported contact with an unknown unit north of our sector. No visuals, just movement and thrown objects. Then the signal cut out. The call signs matched a unit that wasn't supposed to be within 5 miles of us. I logged the time. We took position on a narrow ridge overlooking the slough. It gave us a small advantage, a bit of dry ground, some visibility. I ordered the men to dig in shallow. No tents, just ponchos and low cover. The humidity was near total. My hands were slick, even holding a pen. At dusk, the pattern returned. 3 knocks, each about 10 seconds apart. The sound came from across the water this time, then echoed from behind us. It was like 2 points calling to each other. The spacing was too exact for random noise. I raised my hand and held everyone silent. We waited. Minutes passed. Then from the dark, a small rock landed near the center of our perimeter. No arc like a fall, a straight throw, heavy enough to make a dull thud in the mud. I looked toward the trees, saw nothing. The men froze. Another rock came closer, rolling against a pack. We were being watched. Lang whispered for permission to use a flare. I denied it. Command rules forbade light during evaluation, unless under attack. The observers might penalize us for breaking procedure. Now that feels foolish, but at the time, rules mattered. The smell hit next. Strong, sour, metallic. It filled the air so thick you could almost feel it coating your tongue. Private Downs began to gag quietly. I told him to focus on breathing. 4 in, 4 out. Same pattern. Then came movement, just outside the wire. Heavy steps, the sound of brush bending. The thing didn't rush. It circled. Once, twice. Testing the perimeter. A branch snapped near Lang's position. He reported seeing a tall outline, maybe 8 feet. Low light behind it. The shape stayed still, then moved again, faster than expected. I called for everyone to hold fire until clear contact. No blanks, no simulators yet. The movement stopped near the north sector. The smell hung in the air. The forest went silent again. No birds, no rain, no wind. I could hear my own pulse in my ears. Then from deep in the woods, 3 new knocks. Closer, louder, followed by another set farther away, like a reply. It wasn't random anymore. It was signaling. We stayed in position till sunrise. No further contact. When light broke, we checked the wire. Every single tripwire was untouched except one. That one had been moved, coiled neatly beside the stake, like before. In its place, a small branch stuck upright in the mud. No footprints around it, no drag marks. That was when I knew it wasn't a matter of if, but when it would test us again. The thing was learning our pattern step for step. I ordered the platoon to relocate 200 meters west to new ground. It was safer near higher terrain. We moved slow, all senses on edge. I kept count. 4 steps, 4 breaths. The rhythm faltered once when we reached the tree line. The air was thicker there, almost electric. Just before we reached the new site, a loud crack echoed from behind us. Not a knock this time. A split, like wood snapping under weight. Then silence. The men turned to me for orders. I told them to hold position, eyes open, weapons ready. Somewhere in that quiet, deep between the trees, I heard a sound I'll never forget. A long exhale, low and rough, like a growl forced through a throat not made for speech. That was the first time I knew it was close enough to touch us. By the 4th morning, the weather shifted. The air turned cool, the light gray. A storm was building west of the ridge. The forest felt restless, like it was waiting. The men moved slower now, nerves tight. I could see it in their shoulders and in how they held their rifles. Nobody joked anymore. We were due to rendezvous with another platoon at a supply drop point by noon. I sent a 2-man team ahead to clear the trail. They returned 30 minutes later carrying a torn ration case. It was one of ours. The plastic seal shredded, the pouches gone, the cardboard soaked and twisted like something had wrung it dry. Inside the case were deep gouges, not knife cuts, not claw marks either. The edges were uneven, crushed inward. Lang said it looked like teeth. I wanted to disagree, but the pattern fit. 4 marks on one side, deeper on the other, like a bite. 100 yards from there, we found a half-buried poncho liner. It belonged to the other platoon, stamped with their unit code. The ground around it was torn up, leaves scattered. No blood, no boot prints, just the same wide impressions pressed deep into wet soil. I reported it through the RTO. The reply came broken by static, then clear for a second. Link up aborted. Hold position until further notice. That was all. The signal died right after. The rain started again. Heavy, the kind that blinds you. We pulled ponchos over our gear and dug in under a stand of trees. The water ran down our sleeves. Every sound was swallowed by the storm. I thought maybe the noise would hide us, but instead it seemed to mask something else moving out there. At 1600 hours, one of the men on watch called me over. He'd spotted movement across the slough. Through the sheets of rain, I could make out a shape, standing, upright, not moving. I raised my binoculars, but the glass fogged. I wiped it clean, looked again. The shape was gone. We swept the area after the rain broke. Near the far bank, we found another set of prints. Same depth, same spacing. They led up to a collapsed shack, half hidden by vines. The roof was caved in, the door hanging. Inside, the floor was covered with torn canvas, empty C-ration tins, and one of our training helmets. The liner was ripped out, the shell dented inward. I picked it up. The dent wasn't from a fall. It looked like pressure, like something had grabbed it and crushed. Lang found a beam on the wall with deep scratches across it, low to the ground. He measured the reach with a tape, just over 7 feet, too high for a man on his knees, too low for a bear standing. It made no sense. The smell hit us again, heavy, metallic, like blood and rust mixing in water. It filled the shack so fast we had to back out. My head started to pound from it. We stood in the rain trying to breathe through it. At 1800, I called for a temporary halt. The men needed rest. We set up a defensive line near the shack and prepared for nightfall. I ordered flares ready, but no use without direct contact. The sky went dark fast. At 1900, the radio cracked again. A fragment of a message came through. One word repeated 3 times. Casualty, then static. It took me a minute to understand what it meant. The other platoon? Somewhere north? No confirmation, no location, only that word. I logged it, closed my notebook, and checked the perimeter. The rain eased, but the forest was too quiet. I could hear drips from leaves, and beneath it, faint movement, soft steps through mud. The first knock came again. 1, 2, 3. Close enough to feel through my boots. We had learned its rhythm. Now it was learning ours. Night fell hard. The sky turned black without stars. Clouds smothered any moonlight. The forest around us breathed like a living thing, expanding and closing with the wind. We set security positions along the slope, rifles loaded with blanks, real bayonets fixed. The rules said no live fire on training ground, but rules mean little when you feel hunted. At 2100 hours, the knocks change. Only 2 this time. A pause, then 1 more. The rhythm was wrong. We listened in silence, trying to locate direction, but it echoed in circles. Lang whispered that it was closer, maybe within 100 yards. The smell drifted in again, thicker than before. It clung to rain gear and cloth. The sour iron scent filled the air until breathing made you sick. My throat burned. I ordered the men to cover their faces with bandanas. It helped little. Then we heard the creak, the sound of water shifting, not flowing, something moving through it, slow, heavy. I called the LPOP on hand signal. No answer. I tried again. Still nothing. Lang and I crawled out 10 yards toward their post. The line was empty. Their rifles lay on the ground. No blood, no sign of struggle, just mud pressed flat where 2 bodies had been. One helmet rested upside down in the mud, strap torn clean through. I picked it up and found fresh dents, the same kind as before, deep finger-shaped grooves. We pulled back fast and formed a tighter perimeter. The men were shaking now, whispering prayers. I tried the radio again. Only static. No higher command, no other platoons. I sent 1 flare low to signal distress, barely above the trees. It popped white against the clouds and died quick. Seconds after it faded, the forest screamed. Not an animal sound, not human. A long, harsh cry that broke halfway, like a roar pushed through pain. It came from the creek bed where the LPOP had been. The echo rolled through the woods and ended in 3 hard knocks that shook the ground under us. Every man froze. I felt the vibration through my boots. It was close, closer than it had ever been. I called for withdrawal toward the ridge, slow and silent. We started moving in 2s, rifles up, keeping distance. The forest around us seemed to tighten. The air grew hot and thick. Then we saw it. The fallen tree across the trail. A clean push, not a break. Bark rubbed smooth on one side where pressure had forced it over. It was placed across the only clear route out. A barrier, deliberate and heavy. Lang looked at me, eyes wide. We both knew it was no accident. We circled left, trying to find another path. The ground turned soft, sucking at boots. The swamp ahead was deeper than before, the water dark and unmoving. A few yards in, a new sound came. 2 knocks, then 1. The same pattern as earlier, repeating slower now, like it was counting us. The smell rolled in strong again, choking thick. I heard breathing somewhere beyond the trees, not labored, slow, deep. We reached the far edge of the clearing. Something crashed through brush behind us. Heavy, fast. A tree branch broke loud enough to echo. We turned, rifles raised. For a heartbeat, I saw eyes reflecting pale light from our chem sticks. Low set, wide apart, glowing faint yellow. Then the shape moved left to right, fast and silent. Too fast for something that size. The trees swallowed it. I called for everyone to freeze. Nobody moved. The forest held still. Then, without warning, a large rock flew through the dark and hit the ground between us, spraying mud. It had come from somewhere high, maybe the ridge. We were being herded. I ordered everyone into a staggered retreat back toward higher ground. We moved in low crouch, rifles covering both flanks. The knocks started again, spaced farther apart, following us up the slope. At 2300 hours, we reached the top of the ridge. The wind had picked up. Rain started to fall again. Lightning flashed once in the distance, showing the outline of the forest below. For that 1 second, I saw it clearly, standing in the open, just beyond the fallen tree. Broad shoulders, long arms, dark hair wet against its chest. It stood still, head tilted slightly like it was watching us think. Then the light vanished, and so did it. We stayed put until dawn, not sleeping, not talking. I kept my hand on the radio the entire night, waiting for command to answer. Nothing came. By morning, we knew the Fouke monster was not wandering. It was hunting, and now it had chosen where to meet us. Morning came gray and quiet. The rain had stopped, but the air stayed heavy. The ridge gave us a narrow view of the swamp below. Mist moved across it in long bands like breath on glass. I ordered the men to eat cold rations and check weapons. Everyone looked hollow-eyed, drained. 2 men kept glancing toward the tree line, waiting for the next knock. I told them we would hold until range control answered. No signal yet, no patrols on radio. We were cut off. At 1000 hours, Lang spotted movement in the valley. He passed me the binoculars. Between 2 cypress trunks stood a dark figure. Still, upright, the same one from the night before. It faced uphill toward us. I called for everyone to stay low. No talking. We watched it for nearly a full minute. It didn't move. Then slowly it stepped forward into the open. The motion was smooth, balanced. It was large but not lumbering. Shoulders wide, arms long enough to hang past the knees. Lang whispered the distance. About 200 yards. The smell reached us first, carried on the wind. Wet iron, sour mud, thick enough to sting the nose. The men shifted uneasily. I counted in 4s under my breath. 4 breaths, 4 seconds, 4 heartbeats. The figure stopped at the edge of the water. It bent, touched the surface, then raised its head again. Even from that distance, I could see the outline of its face. Flat, no visible neck, head tapered at the top. It was watching us. I ordered the RTO to send a flare for location marking. The shell arced high, burst white. For a second, everything was clear. The creature turned its face toward the light, unblinking. It looked more like a man than any animal should. Then the flare burned out, and it was gone. A second later, 3 hard knocks echoed from the forest to our right. I called everyone into defense formation. Claymore simulators set, fields of fire marked, each squad covering one side of the ridge. It was textbook positioning, but it felt useless. The thing moved without sound. Around 1300 hours, the forest went silent again. Then came the first sign, branches shaking downhill, quick bursts of movement, heavy impacts on the ground. I raised my rifle and signaled for readiness. A rock flew from the trees and slammed into a log near my position. Another followed, closer. They came in steady rhythm, aimed, not random. Then something crashed through the undergrowth. A form, huge and fast, rushing straight for the LPOP. The 2 men there fired blanks and shouted. I ran toward them, shouting to hold the line. When I reached the post, the trees were shaking. The thing hit our outer wire and kept going. The Tripwire simulators went off, flashes lighting its outline. A wall of dark hair and massive shoulders, moving upright. It didn't flinch. It pushed through the brush and hit a man square in the chest. Threw him 3 yards back like he weighed nothing. I fired a burst of blanks. Others followed. The noise filled the ridge, echoing off trees. The creature turned its head toward us, not afraid, just studying. Then it struck a tree with one arm. The sound of the hit cracked like a rifle shot. The trunk splintered halfway through. 3 hard knocks followed. 1, 2, 3, pounded into the wood itself. The smell was everywhere now. Thick, metallic, sour. Men were coughing through it. I felt dizzy but stayed focused. I ordered a claymore simulator fired. The explosion sent shock through the ground, showering dirt and leaves. For a moment, silence. Then a deep groan rolled from the trees. Lang yelled that it was moving left, fast. I caught a glimpse, a blur of dark mass cutting across the line. We shifted fire that way, blanks snapping through the fog. The creature moved through it like smoke. When it stopped, it was less than 30 yards away. The shape filled the space between two trees. Its chest moved slow, steady. The head tilted as if measuring us. For a second, I thought it might charge again. Instead, it reached out and struck another tree 3 times. Slower now, almost deliberate. Then it vanished back into the fog. We held that position for 2 more hours. No movement, no sound, only the smell fading slow, like it was carried away by the wind. I thought maybe it was over, that it had gone. Then just before dusk, the knocks came again. This time from both sides of the ridge at once. We weren't facing one. There were at least 2. The men tightened formation. I could see fear spreading. My own hands shook as I reloaded blanks I knew meant nothing. The air turned colder. Even the insects were gone. The first figure appeared again, half hidden in fog. The second one stood behind it, taller by a head. I realized we were surrounded. The next minutes decided whether any of us would leave that ridge alive. They came from both sides. The first shadow broke through the tree line at a slow walk, then charged halfway before stopping. The second moved along the flank, circling. Their steps were heavy but even, each one timed between the others. They knew how to move together. I gave the order to fire simulators in rotation. Lang hit his switch first. The claymore simulator exploded bright white. Smoke rolled over the ridge. For one heartbeat, I saw them both clear. Thick hair matted by rain, faces dark and wide, eyes small under heavy brows. No expression, no fear. The one on the right roared, a short, deep sound that hit my chest like pressure. It rushed forward, closing 30 yards in seconds. I fired again, the sound useless but instinctive. The others followed. The flashes lit the creature's shape as it charged. It swung one arm through a sapling and snapped it clean. I shouted for flares. The first went up, burning white against the low sky. Under that light, the whole ridge turned visible. The creature froze mid-step, eyes reflecting pale gold. I could see everything now, the chest rising, the mouth half open, teeth dark and wide. It threw a rock the size of a helmet. It hit the ground near our radio and rolled downhill. Then it turned its head toward the second figure. The other one answered with 3 knocks against a tree trunk, louder than gunfire. The smell hit again, stronger than before. I could taste metal in my mouth. My head felt light, the edges of vision swimming. I forced focus and shouted orders to pull back to the center line. Lang covered the left, Downs the right. The thing nearest the ridge lunged forward. It moved like it weighed less than it should. I stepped ahead to draw its focus. It came within 20 feet before a simulator detonated between us. The blast made it stop short, shielding its face with one arm. For a second, its size was clear. Close to 8 feet, maybe more. The arm was as thick as my leg. It turned toward me. Its face caught the last light from the flare. The skin under the hair looked rough, like bark. The nose flat, mouth thin, eyes black. It let out a sound low and steady, more vibration than voice. My chest hurt from it. Then it charged. It hit me full on, shoulder first. I went down hard. The ground knocked the air from my lungs. My rifle slid away. I grabbed my baton and swung by instinct, catching it in the ribs. It barely flinched. I tried again, aiming higher. The baton struck bone and bounced off. The creature raised one arm, and for a moment I thought it would crush me. Then a simulator went off behind it. The flash lit the trees white. It staggered. Lang fired blanks from the side, yelling. I crawled backward, reaching for my rifle. The flare light burned out. Darkness dropped again. The only sounds were breathing and the knock of branches breaking. Then another flare hissed up. In that new light, I saw it retreating toward the trees. It turned once, almost slow, as if to look at me. Behind it, the second creature stepped from cover. Taller, broader, it stopped beside the first. They stood still for several seconds, then both turned away and disappeared into the fog. Silence followed, real silence. The forest didn't move. My men held their rifles steady, waiting for the next rush. None came. We stayed alert until the last flare faded. I took count. 1 man injured concussion from the blast, breathing but dazed. Everyone else shaken, bruised but alive. I moved to the edge of the ridge where they had stood, The ground was torn up. Deep prints pressed into the mud, spaced far apart. A broken branch lay across the path, snapped off 10 feet above the ground. The smell still lingered. Wet iron and swamp rot, heavy and sharp. It mixed with the smoke from the simulators, forming a haze that burned the throat. We held position till dawn. Nobody spoke. The forest stayed quiet. When the first light touched the trees, mist lifted just enough to see the lower slope. There beside the slough stood the fallen tree they had pushed over earlier. It looked different now, lifted, angled like something had moved it again. Lang pointed out fresh prints beside it. Only one set this time, leading away into the swamp. I ordered no pursuit. We were done with this ground. When the sun rose fully, I sent the first clear radio message in 12 hours. It took 3 tries to get through. Range control responded at last, ordering us to hold for retrieval. They sounded calm, as if nothing unusual had happened. We waited 2 more hours before the trucks came. None of us said much. The men looked back at the ridge as we left. I did too. From that distance, it looked like any other stretch of pine forest. Still, ordinary, but I knew better. Something had shared that ground with us. Something that watched, learned, and chose when to stop. The knocks never came again that day. Only the faint smell stayed in the air, carried by the wind until we were miles away. We reached the collection point by late morning. The trucks idled near the tree line, engines low, exhaust mixing with the swamp mist. Range control officers stood waiting, clipboards in hand. Their faces showed nothing. I gave a short report: contact with an unknown presence, possible wildlife. 2 men missing from the LPOP, 1 injury, equipment loss. I kept it clean, factual. They told me to sit my men down and keep quiet until further instruction. Medics checked the injured private, confirmed mild concussion, nothing worse. The rest of us were ordered to unload rifles, clear blanks, and wait for transport back to Fort Polk. Nobody asked many questions. Everyone looked relieved to leave. The smell still clung to our uniforms. Even the medics noticed it. One said it reminded him of old iron and wet leaves. He laughed it off. I didn't. By the time we reached the post, a small debriefing team was ready. 2 CID investigators, 1 wildlife officer, and a range control captain I hadn't met before. They separated the men into pairs, interviewed each for 15 minutes. Same pattern of questions: describe the event, time, direction, visibility. Did anyone fire live rounds? Did anyone drink? Every report matched: the knocks, the smell, the tall dark figures, the thrown rocks, the broken tree, the attack. The investigators kept calm faces, wrote everything down, then collected the sample bags I had sealed in the field. Hair fibers, bark, soil. They labeled them, placed them in a steel case, and left the room. I never saw those samples again. That night, I met with the commanding officer. He said higher command would classify the incident as wildlife interference. He told me to rest the men, submit damage reports, and not speak to local media. I asked about the missing platoon we were supposed to link with. He said their radio malfunctioned. 1 man was injured during a fall, no fatality. When I pressed for details, he ended the conversation. 2 days later, CID returned. They re-interviewed me alone. This time the questions changed. Did I believe what I saw? Could it have been human? Could the stress of isolation cause misidentification? I answered the same way each time: calm, factual. The figures were real, physical, and close enough to strike. They said my statement would remain sealed under training incident classification. I signed the papers. Afterward, the men were reassigned. Some went to other posts. Lang and I stayed to finish the evaluation cycle. Range control avoided that sector for the rest of the summer. Officially, it was due to flood risk. Unofficially, no one wanted to go back. A week later, I went to the supply depot to inventory lost gear. I found one of our missing helmets on the return list. No serial number recorded. The liner was cracked, the shell dented deep like the others. When I asked where it came from, the clerk said it was recovered from the ridge by a maintenance patrol. He couldn't say more. That night, I sat alone in the barracks and listened to the wind through the pines. It made a faint knocking sound as branches struck the metal siding. 3 slow hits, spaced evenly. My pulse jumped before I realized it was just the wind. Still, I couldn't shake the smell. Even after washing my clothes twice, it lingered faintly on my hands. Wet iron, sour mud. The next morning, an envelope appeared in my inbox. No name, no return address. Inside was a copy of the debrief transcript and a small typed note. It said, "Maintain silence. Range control confirmed no wildlife matching your report." That was the end of it. No public record, no follow-up. Only our memories in the sealed files. A month later, one of the privates who had been at the LPOP transferred out. Before leaving, he told Lang he still heard the 3 knocks some nights when he tried to sleep. I believed him. We didn't talk about it again. But every man from that platoon carried the same thing home, the knowledge that something out there watched us and decided to let us go. 2 weeks after the debrief, the company rotated to a new training area west of the post. Different terrain, dry ground, open pine forest. The men moved with routine discipline, but the edge never left. No one liked camping near water anymore. During the move, I spoke with Lang privately. He said he still woke at night to faint knocking sounds in his head, always 3 in rhythm. He'd smell that same iron scent before it faded. I told him to focus on task, keep a steady pattern, keep count. 4 steps, 4 breaths, 4 seconds. It steadied him for a while. Back at headquarters, a memo circulated about the Tiger Ridge incident. It summarized everything in 3 short paragraphs. Cause: animal interference. Result: 1 minor injury, minor property loss. The document was marked training data only, listing 2 missing from the LPOP, 1 minor injury, and minor property loss. That meant it would never reach public record. I asked range control about the sealed area. They said the site was closed for erosion study. When I checked the map a week later, the sector was erased completely, folded into restricted ground. The new map listed it as Area X-4, off limits. That night, I went to the officers' club for a drink. A retired colonel sat next to me, old Vietnam hand, years in the field. He said he'd heard about my ridge patrol. I didn't ask how. He told me that in 1969, another training company at Fort Polk reported unusual contact north of that same swamp. Said they filed it under morale stress. He leaned close and said, "Some things out there belong to the land, not to us." Then he stood and left. A month later, fall training began. The humidity dropped, and the swamp dried some. Still, no one volunteered to train near Tiger Ridge. The few times helicopters flew over, they reported seeing large disturbances in the trees like something heavy moved under the canopy. Range control stopped investigating those calls. Lang and I both received transfer orders by winter. He went east. I stayed for another cycle. On my last patrol before leaving, I passed within 2 miles of the old ridge. The forest looked untouched. No sign of our camp, no trace of trenches. Nature had reclaimed everything. As we packed the truck, a local forestry worker drove by. He asked if we were the ones who heard the big one last summer. I didn't answer. He nodded like he understood. He said the locals still heard the knocks near the slough every few weeks, always at night. Livestock went missing for a time, but then stopped. Before leaving Fort Polk for good, I went to the storage yard and checked the crate with our training equipment. One of the damaged helmets was still inside, tagged for disposal. I lifted it. The dent was deeper now, rust forming along the edge. The smell came faintly off the metal wet iron and swamp mud. I set it back and closed the lid. That smell followed me for years. Sometimes I caught it after rain, faint but sharp, and it took me straight back to that ridge. We never saw the Fouke monster again, not in any report, not in any official briefing. But we knew it was real because the forest never gave everything back. It left signs as if reminding us we'd crossed into its ground and survived by chance, not by strength. No one in that platoon ever spoke of it again in public. But if you ever meet one of them, ask where they trained in 1973. You'll see it in their eyes before they answer. That was the cost of meeting something the land still keeps hidden. It has been more than 40 years since that night on Tiger Ridge. Most of the men from my platoon are scattered now. Some retired, some gone. I stayed in the Army long enough to know what fear looks like in a man's eyes. What we faced in that swamp was not fear. It was confusion made real. A thing that should not exist, standing close enough to touch. I have read every wildlife report from that region. None describe what we saw. No animal moves upright with purpose. No known creature knocks 3 times as if marking ground. No predator circles a unit and leaves without finishing. Yet I can still hear it. 1, 2, 3. The rhythm never fades. Sometimes after rain, the same smell finds me. Wet iron and sour mud. Sharp, earthy, real. It lasts only seconds, but it brings everything back: the fog, the knocks, the ridge. I keep count out of habit. 4 breaths, 4 seconds, 4 memories that never line up straight. I still have my field notebook from that operation. The last line reads, "Area secure, visibility poor." I lied in that report. The truth is, the ridge was never secure. We left before the land decided otherwise. What happened there changed how I saw command, training, and the line between fact and silence. Some reports stay buried because they protect the wrong people. Ours was one of them. If you ever walk near Fort Polk and hear 3 knocks through the trees, stop and listen. Don't call out. Don't move toward it. Just count 4 breaths and wait until it fades. That was 1973. We met something that belonged to the deep woods, and it let us go. Don't turn off your lights yet. If you like the video, hit like and watch the next amazing horror story showing on your screen.